1420 Sports Podcast, four beer with a sports talk and a whole lot more. Show 158, December 2nd, 2021. Dave, I wasn't around Lethbridge on Tuesday. I was in Medicine Hat and it was a little breezy, but I heard there was some winds here that, and I hate to start every show with the weather, but it's the kind of way it turns out. Being our age, that's what we talk about. But I heard there were some winds of epic proportions here on Tuesday night.
Epic proportions is the proper term. It was so windy. It's pretty rare that wind wakes me up in the middle of the night. And it was oppressive. Holy cow. Like, I left curling, what time was it? It was almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And had to walk the dog. And I, like, it wasn't ball cap. It was my wind coat and a toque, because it was batting down the hatches. I don't know what it's like.
It was Eddie Whalen, Stampede Wrestling, batten down the hatch and lock the door. She's Stampede Wrestling time once more.
Wednesday morning happens to be garbage day, and we have the pickup bins and what have you. And for the first time since we've lived here, because it is a little bit protected, it was laying on its side in the morning. Like, yeah,
I was in the hat, and Deanne said there was just shit everywhere down the alleyway, down the grassy area behind the house. The people there was stuff everywhere in our complex. It's just crazy. Mom, I talked to her on Wednesday morning to make sure she was okay. Branches were all over the place. She was upset. She's got it cleaned up. A tree, big branch off the evergreen next door almost fell down. Wasn't for the neighbor's satellite dish stopped it. But anyways, that was crazy. I heard it was 130-kilometer-an-hour winds, and like, we've lived around here our entire lives, and that's unheard of for a sustained period of time.
Holy, yeah, it was a weather event. Like, if there was any kind of precipitation or what have you, like, I don't know what it would have happened, because that was crazy.
Yeah, anyway, what do? You just deal with it the next day, pick your shit up and try for the next things. Anyways, Dave, I'm on days off now. Today, when I was leaving work, the big joke always, because we work a Tuesday to Thursday shift, and every time you leave work, the guys say, "See you next Tuesday," and there's a underhanded joke to that that we won't get into. But while I was going through the beer store today, I found a beer that was actually called "See Ya Next Tuesday." They didn't use the U, they used the Y. So "See you next Tuesday." So I picked up a 4-pack of these, four beer with a sports talk and a whole lot more. Brewed at the Field and Forge in Innisfail, Alberta. Pretty good beer, actually. Exhale Brewing Company, quite good. I'm quite happy with it. The See You Next Tuesday. I saw you had a different can in your hand. What do you got going on tonight?
Mine's the Big Sexy Funk, an IPA, as I like.
Sexy Funk.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a pretty sexy can too. It's a little disco-y. It's from Vancouver, from Strathcona Beer Company. I've had this before. It's a nice IPA. It's the kind of around that flavor I like, and yeah, it's a nice beer, and
that's a really good beer, actually.
Yeah, it's a pretty happening.
I'm quite happy with this See You Next Tuesday right now. This dry hop Aussie style Kolsch, quite good. From our hopefully our newfound friends, the Exhale Brewing Company in Innisfail. Anyways, Dave, last night at midnight 01, the Major League Baseball strike. We're not going to talk about like billionaires and fighting millionaires. I want to talk about how childish this is already getting with Major League Baseball and the Players Association. Last night the lockout started, and right at the strike at 12:01, the websites, the team networks, they aren't allowed to have the name, image, likeness of the players, because that's part of the bargaining agreement. So you won't, if you're watching the Yes Network, you won't see any Aaron Judge highlights. You'll see minor league guys. You won't see any, if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, Rogers, because they own the team, they can't play Blue Jays highlights anymore. This one's going to get ugly, Dave. And the more I read into it, the more I am on the side of the players. I kind of always have been, but I'm also thinking a lot of times, like, you know what, if you're an employee, you're an employee, so you should just shut up and give what you got. But, you look back 20 some years ago when A-Rod got his big contract, which was crazy back then at $25 million. You look at the way inflation's gone over the years and everything else. the wages for the players has not increased that drastically compared to what the revenues have for the owners. I'm on the players side on this 100% because the way they hold players down to get it basically one contract now. Yeah, they make good dough and everywhere else, but there's such a small percentage of players that do make life changing money. Man, oh man, the owners look bad on this one, man.
Well, it's true, especially because I think one of the main sticking points right now is the players want 1 year less of service or something, 5 years of service.
Simple.
To have free agency. And this is such can't do that, and the owners don't want that. But the owners have been screwing these players for years. Like when the Cubs won their series, was it
16?
Bryant? Yeah, like they held him back because, and you see it all the time. Seattle's done it. The Jays did it with Vlad, right? You know, you don't start until game 21, and then that year doesn't count towards your free agency contract. And that's just garbage. Like you're not
I just thought of it. Like some of these guys, they get signed when they're 15, 16 years old at a Dominican, and they can't get any service time until they're X. Gary Sanchez, he's terrible, but he can't become an actual free agent and go on the market until he's 27 years old with X amount of years of service time. Although he's already been owned by this team for 11 years.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
And then you got owners who are like you have Max Scherzer making $43 million from a billionaire owner. He makes more than the entire Pittsburgh Pirates team that makes money off of revenue sharing from all the have teams, and he's a have not. If that money went back into the franchise, fine. But these owners are getting this revenue sharing and they're paying for everybody else's shit. Like for their own other businesses. I'm so pro player on this one, and the players are going to lose again.
Because they always do, because they are going to settle once people start missing paychecks. That's always how it happens, and they're going to cave because at the end of the day, the owners have the money and the players want the money. And that's just the way it is. And that's any pro sports, right? And it's frustrating because there's such different tiers of the owners. It's not like they're really all playing from the same playbook anyways.
Not at all.
Like you said, right? Like how do these guys how do they all decide what they're going to eat when some people can only afford McDonald's and others are eating fillets for breakfast? Like, I don't know, like what there's such a different budget, such a different expectation, such a different. They can't all play from the same book because they're just so different in wealth, in revenue streams and that. And heaven forbid the big markets are never, ever going to share their revenue streams, like as far as the Yankee network, the Boston network, Chicago with WGN, the Braves with TBS, right? Like it's just
like it's so bizarre, Dave. Like to me, like now it's become a point that like you look at the Cubs, like you mentioned earlier, they won a World Series just 5 years ago. They have money to burn. Their biggest star is Wrigley Field. That place will be full. People will go there. People will buy their shit no matter what. They already sold off all their parts and pieces. All of them gone.
And then the Chicago Tribune, I believe, who is the owner of that.
They're involved in it. Yeah, the Ricketts family and everything else, I believe. But it's all part of it.
They've chosen they're in it to make money, not win World Series. And at the end of the day, the Cubs can never win a game, but people are coming to Cubs Stadium. Like people aren't going to give up their.
People are going to Wrigley no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
I went for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, because it's iconic, and you're happy you went there.
Yeah, absolutely. But
not to cheer for the Cubs.
It was a Yankee. It was a Yankee series. There, it was a great Yankee swept the whole thing, but Gardner hit a home run in the bottom in the top of the ninth inning. The first game was awesome. But anyways, it's so astonishing that people just don't see that the owners are screwing these players over. And I think the owners did something very smart because it was a smaller market, it was the mid-market team, not small market. the mid-market teams, before the lockout happened, they went and signed all these guys to big deals and said, the system works. Look at this. They made the players look bad. You can't blame the players for taking the dollars because everybody would. They made the players look stupid. These mid-market teams, like Texas, went from a 60-win team to maybe a 75-win team with their two big signings with Semyon and Seager.
Yeah.
Javi Baez signed a big deal with the Detroit Tigers. He got 105 million bucks. They aren't going to make the playoffs.
Robbie Ray went to the Mariners, right?
To the Mariners. They're not.
Yeah.
They made the playoffs since when? They've never won a playoff.
And it's clearly money chasing.
So all these guys, so these mid-market teams, they were smart. They said, we'll sign. We'll still get a revenue sharing. They've actually made the players look dumb. And you can't blame the players for taking the money, but you know what? They're not getting paid if they don't play. The owners are going to win and the players are going to lose badly, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And this is shitty to say. It don't matter who's playing, because the fans will always come back no matter what. And it's shitty.
And it's true. Yeah,
it's true. It don't matter who's wearing pinstripes. I'm going to go watch the game.
Yeah.
It don't matter who's wearing a we'll end up watching. You might put a boycott on for a little bit of time, but I'm not changing my viewing habits to NASCAR in the summertime. Like,
yeah, you can find something else, right?
Well, I'm not. Like, I'm already watching the Dominican League, for Christ's sakes. Like, it's.
Well, that's what I meant by that. You're going to find baseball to watch.
I'll find baseball to watch.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, it's terrible that like I hear some sports talk radio shows. They're saying, well, the players are the game. Well, but there's always other players. Like, no matter what, every year there's always other players. Like, I'm not saying go put scabs out there, but if you put a kid from Wichita State in a Yankee uniform, I don't know the difference. You know, if he's a backup left fielder who plays once a week anyways, well, there's that guy, right? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. The players don't matter. And we talk about that in football a lot too, where the players, other than 15 guys in the NFL, maybe not 15, 30, let's say 30, 35 guys out of 30 teams, they're interchangeable parts. It don't matter anymore. And these players who think that they're bigger than the game, well, they're not, because somebody else will wear that uniform. And it's shitty to say that, but it's true.
And I don't think they say that because they know that, right? They know they're part of the game. They know that they have they're blessed with a talent that's enabling them to make generational wealth. I do believe they know that. And they also know that people came before them and there will be players that come after them. They do know that, but
I hope
I understand. But also, I wish I knew exactly. Like, I do know free agency was a sticking point. I know some minor league financing and stuff was a sticking point, but at the end of the day, the players have to know that the owners aren't going to budge. Like, here's your share.
This
do
is
what you want. Yeah.
Don't play then. We'll get somebody else.
Yeah.
We will actually save money by not playing.
Well, no, they won't, because they won't get their TV money, right?
Well, they won't make any more, but not spending any. And whatever investments these rich people have anyways, like you said before, and you've said it 1,000 times on this show alone, it's a toy for these guys, man. And how these owners have manipulated the system to make money, spending $40 million for your entire lineup. Your entire lineup makes $40 million, and you're getting money from other teams. That's smart business, man.
Let someone else pay your bills.
To win in this sport, and more so than any of the other ones, you have to be willing to lose the most money, or not care about losing money.
Yeah, perhaps.
Does that make any sense?
Well, yeah, like Tampa Bay being the exception that proves
it's
that
an
rule,
outlier,
right?
Obviously.
Yeah, but like it's if you're willing to spend and develop talent, then you have a chance. Kansas City Royals, Chicago Cubs were a homegrown franchise, right?
Yep.
They did it with their own draft picks and what have you.
Trade here, trade there, but yeah, in general, it was all homegrown guys.
Yeah, and then when that window opens, take a swing. And that's what the Jays are doing now. Like, the Jays signed they became a way better team as well, signing those pitchers, right?
They're good, man. They might
Yeah.
not get they might not get a chance to show it, but they better they better get a win now mentality if the season does happen next year. Buster
Yeah.
only said tonight on Baseball Tonight, his podcast. I was driving back here. He don't expect baseball till June. I believe it. They're both sides are dug in, and like
Well,
you said,
now that they're and now
you
that
start
this,
losing money.
now that the lockout has happened, right? No one, the start of the season is that's when it's starting to get serious. When
Yeah, right now they're not playing anyway, so they're not losing money. No one's losing any money.
right, exactly. And then like now it's just going to be just who's going to blank first and who's going to give
It'll be those mid-level players who are, because there's 300 free agents out there right now who aren't signed.
and then so once they do settle, then you got to sign those things. B, like you need what 6 weeks for pitchers to get ready.
Yeah.
And then so like
If you're locked out, if you aren't moving and shaking by the 1st of February, look out, man.
you bet, because if they
You know,
settle this in May, it's not like they can flip the switch like in hockey and football, right? Like who've been working out in this and just will put something on the field. You're not going to put $30 million pitchers out on the mound who haven't been
one twist of your elbow, that's it, right?
But yeah,
So like you got these mid-level guys. Like right now, their wives are on Amazon spending money. They're like, hey, whoa, we might not be playing this year. It's better slow down the Christmas season a little bit. Not that they're starving, but you know what I mean, Dave. It's gross that it comes to this, but I understand the why there's a union for athletes. I get it, but at the end of the day, they're going to lose, and they're going to lose hard.
and another thing too. I forget who it was talking in the article. Players recuperating from surgeries and what have you that were using team doctors and team facilities. They're not allowed to do that now. They're on their own for their recovery and rehab.
Basically, they're unemployed right now.
Yeah, like
and their insurance ran out.
Yeah,
you know. So, and then like you sent me an article today. I didn't read it from Barstool. I was busy working and stuff. I probably. But give me the Colesville's version, because I'll give you what how they changed the baseballs. And I know this happened. I heard about it throughout the season, how the baseball didn't seem right. And then I remember a couple of years ago. But go ahead, Dave. What the article you read? What it said, and I'll give you my version of what happened.
Well, so Major League Baseball bought Rawlings. Major League Baseball owns the manufacturer of baseballs.
Yeah,
and then so obviously the owner is allowed to do anything they want with their product, being baseballs. And around that time they bought it, the baseball, their word on the street was they put a livelier cork in the middle of the ball to get some home runs going. And then after whatever 2 or 3 years ago, it was like, maybe we should deaden this ball a little bit. And so they changed the cork again, unbeknownst, without telling anybody. And then they said, okay, now we're using the dead balls. They did tell everybody we're using the dead balls. But something was just amiss. And there's a scientist who's smarter than us who actually
whoa.
Well, who has the
smarter
ability
about that than us, not in general than us.
Okay, I'll give you that. And this person took like game baseballs and broke them down and said, no, like they're using both baseballs. And Major League Baseball was saying their excuse was, well, with COVID and production, we couldn't get all the deader balls in there. So yeah, there could be a few lively balls.
Yeah, I read that and then I heard as well today that you're talking about it, that for bigger games like Yankees, Red Sox, to get more people watching, they would use a livelier baseballs. And
exactly.
then for like the Brewers versus not the Brewers Mariners. I'm just throwing two names out there. They would use the shittier baseballs. They would use the same balls they'd use in the fucking Wimble.
Right. And then also too, like they said like that Field of Dreams game, how many home runs were hit? They gave the lively balls to that one, right? Like
actually in the WCBL, we use Rawlings official Major League Baseballs. It says right on it, Rawlings official Major League Baseball. Just a different stamp on it. We ain't getting the good ones in Lethbridge versus.
Oh no, you're not getting the ones with pop. No.
Exactly.
For
So,
sure not.
and
And
they,
then, like,
they would do that to drive up numbers of this guy and drive down numbers of this guy. So, and the problem you have, Dave, though, why can't the owners get in the same team? The owners are the ones that are causing this problem by paying these guys. If you stopped all the owners from doing it, you wouldn't be in the situation you're in. Am I wrong?
stop the owners from doing what?
Like, okay, if you're spending too much money and you're doing this, tell that guy, hey, owner A, telling owner B, dude, quit signing these guys some mics. We can drive the wages down.
What does that have to do with lively baseballs?
No, I'm just lively baseball, because the baseball, the home runs go up.
Yeah.
The average batting average goes up. Well, so also the agent goes, well, this guy's WAR is this. This guy's hitting 43 home runs when he should have only had 28.
Well, on that though, too, like, everybody should be up in arms, because now a team like the Yankees that gets a lot of big games and Boston, they got to pay more to keep their players, because they have better, they have more eyeballs on the screen, so they get games with livelier balls. Whereas the guy playing for the Kansas City Royals and Pittsburgh Pirates, he's hitting dead balls.
You almost said Penguins, so I would actually tune into that game. I would watch that game more than I'd watch a Pirates Royals game. But
yeah,
no, the owners step on each other. It's every sport. The owners they make this monster, because you always get one owner. Now the Mets have that guy that they just get. They can't get out of their own way. They can't.
Yeah, and there's no, like, the commissioner of baseball now. It's garbage, right? Because
he's an ass.
Oh,
Manfred's an ass.
Yeah,
And he says all the wrong things all the time. He's an employee of the owners.
yeah.
Right.
Like, there's no where back in the day it used to be, like, for the better, the commissioner worked for the game of baseball,
betterment of the game. Like,
yeah,
Giamatti was with
Bart Giamatti, yeah. So
this guy, and like you look at, like, he's got to be making how many million a year? Okay, well, I'll just do what you tell me. I'm just an employee.
Right. And who was that guy from the Brewers that ran the league for so long?
Seelig.
Yeah. See, like, he was a horse's dump too.
Yeah.
With his JC Penney Cordray suits and that kind of thing.
Anyways, we won't bore you guys anymore with the. Actually, I don't think that was boring. It's a good segment. We won't bore you. We try not to get into dollars and cents, because I'm not a lawyer. Dave's not a lawyer, but that's just our fan thought about the this lockout. Now it's going to go. I promise you guys, we won't bring this up until it's all said and done, or something gets closer, something outrageous happens. We'll give our take on it. But lawyer speak isn't me and Dave's forte by any means, and we're not accountants by any means either. But it's just too bad that the fans are always the ones who suffer.
I agree, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to money. Someone's signing checks, someone's cashing checks, and occasionally those people are going to butt heads.
Right now, it's just the off season. There'll be no signings, obviously, but right now it's just the off season. No games are missed, but every day we get closer to Christmas, you get closer to pitches and catches reporting, and if there's no word to train, who knows what might happen. So, anyways, 1420 Sports, 4 Beer with Sports, talking a whole lot more. This Exhale See You Next Tuesday beer is very good, Dave. I quite enjoy it.
I'll have to track some down.
Here we go. The Grit Grinder Liquor Store on whatever street that is.
Right down just before coming down the West Side Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Lethbridge Liquor.
Liquor.
Yeah.
You liquor, you brought her, whatever.
Yeah. No, I found some gems in there as well.
They have a pretty good little selection on the one wall there. Yeah.
That's a huge beer cooler they got there.
And the temperature's right. 1420 Sports Podcast, 4 Beer with Sports Talk, and a whole lot more. 1420 Sports Podcast, 4 Beer with Sports Talk, and a whole lot more. Dave, read about the quarter pole, the National Hockey League season. There's already probably a dozen teams that are out of a playoff spot that aren't going to get in. You're at the 3-quarter pole in the football season. The teams are done. There are a lot of teams that were done before the season even started, which happens in most sports. But when you get to a certain point in the season, Dave, do you give up on the season, fire the coach, which seems to be the easiest thing to do in a lot of sports, and fire the GM? Or as an owner or management, do do you stick with what you got and see with what team you got? And the reason why I ask this is that more often than not, when a team makes a coaching change, especially in hockey, it seems they can go on a 3, 4, 5 game heater, win some games, and then they go back to what they were. And then all of a sudden, these guys they pad their stats a little bit because well, creativity and everything else. Are coaching changes mid-season? Are they beneficial to your franchise at all?
They can be like, and then so when we say
That was
beneficial,
a very pedestrian answer.
well, no, but like, but listen though, it's always dependent on different things. When you say beneficial to the franchise, if everybody's howling for the coach's head and the team is playing bad, you're going to get a bump at the gates. Like, is it beneficial for the standings, for their competitive nature? It has shown in the past, like most recently, like both the St. Louis Blues and the Kings, they both did it with mid-season coaching changes, right?
I always forget about those ones. Like, you always saw it in my face.
Well, and it happens, right? It does happen when a coach, for whatever reason, that the players are tuning him out, his message, or he's playing the wrong system, something is wrong, and it has worked. But I think most of all, it has to be predicated on what expectations we're going into the season. Like, because like it or not, like your team is going to be in a rebuilding year, and you know that when the season ends, that next year is not going to be your year either. And what you want to see is progression. And if the players that the management is drafting and developing to take that next step, if they're not being developed or the coach isn't doing, like, the first one that has to go, we all know, is the coach, because you got to pretend, at least to yourself and to your fan base, that the decisions that you're making on draft day, as well as the decisions that you're making as far as free agent signings going, these are steps towards your progression to be that competitive team with the ultimate goal. And if it's not happening on the ice, on the field, someone's going to have to take the fall. And like we always say, you can't fire 24 players.
I just find it's just funny to me. It happens, like I mentioned earlier, like more often than not, a coach gets replaced. They go, and that team will go on a 3-game heater, win some games. Superstar X gets the Molson Star of the Week, blah, 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 gets the Brute travel kit and the whole shebang. And then he goes back to the losing ways. I personally, in hockey especially, I don't know, because a puck bounces so much, and you can't predict what the other team is doing. And sometimes other teams are just better. I don't know, like I said, especially in hockey, coaching changes to me mid-season. Yes, it worked in LA. Yes, it worked in St. Louis. Those two random times, which in our very near past. I just think they're bullshit. I think it's semantic for the fan base. I really do. I think it's like, okay, we're listening to you, and but in general, like, the players are the players, and this is what we have. Like, this is a team that we got, and we're not that good.
How else do you explain that St. Louis run, though? Right? Like, they were
I don't know.
They were
Gloria.
DFL. Like,
Gloria, I guess. I don't know.
In January, they were the last place in the goddamn league.
That was crazy. Like that, I do give a lot of the benefit to Laura Branigan on that one.
Well, and you got to give Mellenby some credit too, right? Like, I don't either, but like, you can't, like, something changed, and one of the things that changed was the coach,
Berube,
right?
Not Mellenby. Berube.
Sorry, Berube, yeah. And I don't get it, and like
that's definitely one with Berube, that he went in, we're changing what we're doing, because he's a hard ass. He was a hard-nosed, hard-ass player. And he went in that dressing room, I think, and he said, listen, you assholes. And this is what we're doing.
Prima donna pricks. Like,
and because he never made his career, guaranteed, he never made it in his career what most of those guys make in a season.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So here's in my day, and sometimes that works. I do quite like, we talked about on the show before, how I don't understand how players become management and presidents. I do like the players from the old time, like our back in our day, old man on the porch. They're becoming coaches now because there were some hard nosed times back then, man. Those guys took a beating and they kept going. And then
Mhm.
you see Sutter and you see Berube, and those teams are successful. And they're bringing more and more of these guys from our more nefarious days. They're coaching now, and being part of the system now, and I think it's good. I think it's good for the game, person.
Um, the mid-season firings is good for the
No,
games,
I
or
know. I
just the
think I think I think
old players? Yeah,
bring in the players from the rough and tumble 80s and 90s.
as
I think
opposed to
bringing those
professional.
as opposed to professional coaches, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of professional coaches who
right.
bullshit their way into that are doing it in minor hockey now. They're doing it right through the system. We won't get into the minor hockey thing, but they're professional coaches. Stand here, stand here, stand here. Do this,
If
do this, do
Aiden, this
this.
way, this is a drill
This is
because
this
this is
way.
what the book. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think hockey has and baseball short this year with some the older guys getting jobs. Dusty Baker, Tony La Russa, do this, do this, do this. That don't work. Sometimes you know what gut feeling and everything else is it works. Baseball did it. Hockey's doing it as well, and I think it's good for the sport.
Oh yeah, and like someone like Daryl Sutter, that guy can coach. There ain't no
Yeah,
doubt, because he was the mid-season hire last year, and like the Flames season was already done when he got the job. But you and I both wrote them off. Like, this team sucks. They clearly don't suck.
they're
They're
1-1 in LA right now. That Mangiapane, if you had to put down $40 on Mangiapane making the Olympic team, would you?
I think I want him on. Like, he was the hero of the World Cup or the World Championship.
Championships.
Yeah, not World Cup. And Canada, Hockey Canada has shown in the past that they are going to let people that play in the World Championships kind of be the tiebreaker,
Well,
right?
like when you say no, they'll say no to you, no matter how
Yeah,
good you do, right?
right.
And the thing I like about Mangiapane, it would be like John Tavares is a much better hockey player, obviously, but can John Tavares sit on the bench for 47 minutes a game, and when he gets patted on the back to say go out there and play fourth line minutes and dump it off the glass and get it and just kill some time? I think that Hockey Canada does a very good job with the way they construct their teams to have those kind of guys. You can
Yeah,
have all the superstars you want, because Canada, hands down, Canada has a better roster top to bottom.
yeah.
But it's roster construction that Canada does very well at, keeping all the top talent. You can't just have an all-star team. You have to have a team.
Right. And also like they're not putting anybody on the team that can't check their ego at the door, because we're not about ego here now.
I'm asking you to play fourth line minutes. You're going to play fourth line minutes.
Single mind, single purpose. Let's bring this home for the country,
Yeah.
and everybody wants to do it. And that's so important in international hockey, right? Emotion doesn't win you games, right?
Yeah.
Like it's at the end of the day, it's the ultimate. It's one of the ultimate team sports, and unless everybody's pulling in the same direction, it's going to fail.
See, that's one thing. Like over the years, like we joke on Babcock a little bit, and we call how much buffoon he was, but the way he coached those Team Canadas in the Olympics, he was a very, very good coach at managing those superstars. I thought he did a good, like, he's an ass. We all know that, but he did a very good job, and the coaching staff, I guess, and Hockey Canada did a very good job of putting those teams together, and it worked out quite well.
Well, yeah, and that's because that's a team he didn't have to motivate. Now, when he goes back to the league, right? Same with those Red Wings teams, right? He didn't have to motivate them. Those were professionals that were there to win. They knew how to win. He came into a winning situation, but to turn around a historic losing franchise like Toronto with a lot of young talents who aren't all pulling in the right direction, he struggled to motivate those people.
Couldn't do it. Yeah,
obviously. Yeah.
Anyways, the hockey season's a quarter of the way done. You know who's really good? I hate to say it. Don't tell the producer this. The fucking Leafs.
You had them written off like after 10 games.
They've won 15 out of 17. They're good. They're
Yeah,
getting
well,
goaltending. You show me a good goaltender, I'll show you a good hockey team.
and like we've always
Campbell's
said,
playing well.
right?
Soupy.
Yeah.
Is everybody who's last name Campbell nicknamed Soupy?
Why wouldn't it be?
I think it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, like noodles. You can call them noodles for chicken noodle, but that, yeah, someone, yeah, the old Jamie took that nickname and it's funny. I think noodles is a great nickname.
Yeah, 14-20. Anyways, the hockey. I don't know. I don't think a coach is the strategy of a hockey coach. I think it's more of a motivational thing. I think it's more of a where to put guys, because a puck bounces all over the place. I don't think you actually coach a game. You strategize the game. Does that make any sense?
So yeah, I do agree. I agree with that. It's system with freedom, right? And being able to allow players to show some creativity and freelance outside of the system they're playing, because you gotta, the Oilers, well, they got the most creative player ever to lace them up, and then they got the second best player like as a finisher in the league right now, and so that gives you a lot of freedom. And we are going to win games by outscoring you, whereas now the center team in Calgary, what do they have, like 8 shutouts already?
Something like that, yeah.
It's ridiculously gross, and that's obviously a team style of play, and it's actually not.
And then Mangiapane's got 18 goals and 3 assists.
Yeah,
like it's odd. It's just an odd stat line. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the top 5 of goals in the league, right? So it's amazing how coaching and implementing a system, and if you have buy-in, how it can work when you have the right players, because they do that. That Markstrom is a super stud goalie, but even their backup has 2 shutouts.
I always find it funny, like you watch at the end of a game, Dave. We'll get off this topic right away here, but when they face off deep in the offensive zone, and there's a goalie's pulled, there's 30 seconds left, and there's a timeout, and they draw something up on the whiteboard. What happens if they lose the face-off? It's all that's just gone for shit. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's always predicated on something like that. This is
right? best case. Is it the best case scenario, or are they writing up worst case scenario? Lucic just scored again. My mom must be happy. She loves Lucic. She hates
5-hole, power 5.
Guaranteed. Lucic. Just a big slug, still slugging it out, eh? Anyways.
I like him. I've always liked him.
He's fine. He got a contract overpaid. He shouldn't have got. Yeah. And that's his biggest downfall.
Yeah.
That's his biggest downfall. Anyways, Dave, the hockey season's quarter way in. Gonna get back into that right away. Well, I've been watching a little bit more since baseball season ended. Football's going on. Cowboys covering the spread, 20-10 victory tonight. They're probably going to win. They're not that good. Anyways, 1420 Sports Podcast, 4 Beer Sports Talk, and a whole lot more. I think it was after the show or during the show. I don't know. It doesn't matter. On Monday night, Dave and me were talking about icons. Was it during the show, Dave, or after?
I don't know. I didn't listen to the show on Monday.
I listened to the first 25 minutes. It was so good, I started crying. So I didn't listen to the rest of it.
I couldn't handle it.
Couldn't handle the rest of it. So got so emotional. But anyways, we started talking about icons in major cities and sports, and who's the major icons in the 4 big sports, I guess, per city. And we tried to break it down a little bit. There were so many guys who were so great, and there's so many cities and everything else. But I thought I would just break it down to 5 North American cities. I went with New York, Chicago, LA, Boston, and Toronto, because I had some Canadian content in there. Toronto hasn't had, Kawhi Leonard, I guess, and the Raptors in 2019, I guess it was. They finally won a championship. CFL Grey Cups don't matter. Not that it's not important, but it's not the big 4. But anyways, Dave, living or dead, it doesn't matter what guys you pick. But give me your I think a couple are indisputable, but you go ahead. Give me your Chicago icon.
Well, I think Michael Jordan stands alone, and we don't even discuss it anymore. Like
That's just it.
if you got a statue, you're done. You are icon. You're a legend. So now, I got two from the football. Walter Payton,
Yeah,
one of the best. He was
sweetness.
legendary
Best, one of the best running backs ever.
with the highest voice. And with the other one I picked from the Chicago Bears, his coach, Mike Ditka.
You know, if I'm going to say this, just because Jordan has all of the accolades and all the trophies and everything else, I don't know if he's as beloved as a human being as Ditka. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, that's what I mean.
It would be a close, because I don't know how engaged Jordan became with the public in Chicago. Yes, he's the greatest. It's indisputable. LeBron, fuck off. It's Michael Jordan. At the end of the day, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, they're just the best. There's no talking that. But I think from what I've read and when I've been to Chicago, I've been to Ditka's. There's a bit of a soft spot in Chicago's heart for Ditka. So it's close. Like, Ditka doesn't have the championships, obviously, that Jordan did, but I think it's close for a Chicago icon between Jordan and Ditka.
And like you walk in the streets and going into bars. Yeah, I think Ditka might even hold some more sway. I really do, because he's more of an everyman's man kind of thing, as opposed to when he walks into a bar, Jordan. Excuse me. I don't know. Obviously, I've never been in an establishment that he's entered, but I have a perception that he might carry himself a little bit more lofty. Yeah.
Like, neither of us have any proof of these facts. We 1420 podcast, we don't research or anything, but just what our feelings are. And I think that Ditka might be a Chicago icon at equal level, at the very minimum, as Michael Jordan.
And that Saturday Night Live skit,
that will last forever.
The Bears. Ditka versus the
that'll last
US
forever.
Yeah.
That'll last
Ditka
forever. So that's why I'm saying Ditka's right there. And I had that on my list as well. So we'll call that a toss-up. Yes, Jordan's accolades obviously are much larger for what he did with the Bulls. He's the greatest basketball player ever, hands down. There's no questions asked. But it's a close toss-up. Let's move on to the Los Angeles, California. Who do you got?
Well, for the Lakers, Magic and Kobe, two guys, I don't like either of them. So I'm just going to get those out of the way. I don't like them. And then LA is never shown success as a football city. So I'm going to take LA Raiders and Marcus Allen out of that, because they bounced. And even though Marcus Allen went to USC, even though he won a Super Bowl with the LA Raiders, I'm not going to put him there.
Well, he was friends with with Orenthal too, eh? So,
well, yeah. So I have.
It's been a long time since we've had an Orenthal reference, actually, Dave.
Yeah, and OJ hasn't made
hasn't made the airwaves of 1420 podcast for quite some time.
Yeah, kind of missing old 32. So I have two again. I'm gonna go to the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think an icon is Kurt Gibson. And I think the bigger icon is his manager of the day, Tommy Lasorda.
I'm going to stick with, oh, fuck. This is going to be a toss-up in my eyes. The biggest Dodger, because I don't want to say, I'm not going to say it. The greatest Dodger ever is Sandy Koufax, but the most iconic Dodger ever to me, because he lasted so long and listened for so many years in the radio and on television, World Series, everything else, Vin Scully. I think the biggest icon in Los Angeles sports is Vin Scully. Los Angeles sports hasn't done that well. Yes, the Lakers had a little stretch there, not a little stretch, but Magic needed Kareem. Um, Kobe, great, but he has indiscretions. Shaq was there for a short period of time. You had the Dodgers. Yes, you had Tommy Lasorda, iconic. He was there for so long. But to me, the greatest Los Angeles sports guy to me is Vince Scully. The way the way he could call a game, and everybody had waxed poetics about Scully. I love the guy. I think he's I think he's the guy of LA sports, personally.
How can you mention give that to Vince Scully and not even mention Harry Carey in Chicago then?
Because Harry was juiced all the time. I don't know. I don't know.
And I don't know either. You know,
I don't think because he was actually all like his longevity with those organizations wasn't as long as Scully's was. Scully came from Brooklyn.
I have, and so did Koufax too, right? He played for the Brooklyn Dodgers. I have nothing but affection, and I too hold Vince Scully in the highest regard.
A better Dodger than Kirk Gibson was Earl Hershiser that same season,
without a doubt.
But the moment is Gibson's home run.
And didn't Gibson win NL MVP? And Gibson
that
also
year.
did with
yeah.
I also had Fernando Valenzuela written down.
Oh, he's still broadcasting on the Mexican the Spanish station,
calling Dodger games for
Dodger games. Yeah,
on
the Spanish station. He's still there, and that was 81, I think, when he was there.
Yeah, for El Telemundo or whatever.
For Fernando Mania, and he's still there. And he, I've been to a few Dodger games, and he walks in. That cheer is better than anybody's that's on the field right now.
Unreal for
and there's a big there's a big Spanish community obviously in LA, and he gets as big as a cheer as anybody in LA does when he comes out.
I have no doubt.
He's right there. I never thought of him. That's a very good point, Dave. We'll get back to that one in a second. Let's move on to Boston. I always forget that there's that the New England Patriots are from Boston. I don't know why, because I'm an idiot apparently, but I don't think that there's much of a, well, Jesus. I don't think it's Orr because hockey's not as big, didn't win enough championships. Number 4, Bobby Orr. Yes, he has a statue. Like we said earlier, that's a prerequisite to be an icon. I don't think that it's Ortiz because he just didn't win as much as the other guy. But I think it's Brady, and I don't think it's disputable.
Oh,
am I wrong?
I think it's totally disputable. I think Larry Bird is a bigger icon than Tom Brady. And I also think Larry Bird.
I forget about those Celtic teams.
And before Larry Bird, it was Bill Russell. And then the guy that put it all together as coach and GM was Red Auerbach.
Red Auerbach.
13 championships.
Well, that's a good point. Are the Celtics bigger than the Patriots? Because football, okay, hear me out before you argue.
I will.
Just hear me out. Football's popularity has increased a lot in the last 25 years. A lot, like it's with
100% agreed.
With the advent of fantasy and everything else, football has gained a lot of popularity, and I don't think it's as popular as people think, as people are led to believe it is. I think it's popular because it's supposed to be popular because of fantasy. Just hear me out. If you watched basketball in the 80s, you knew the Lakers and the Celtics. You just did. Actually, if you didn't watch basketball, I remember watching Lakers Celtics games when I was 11, 12 years old.
It seemed like every year was Lakers Celtics in NBA, and then
it was great.
In MLB it was Yankees Dodgers in the World Series.
Yeah,
seemed like every other year.
It was just something you watched. And I forgot this. I'm going to go with you, Dave. I'm going to agree with you that if two guys are walking to a bar, and if I had 2 beers in my hand, one for me and one for another guy, Brady and Bird, I give it to Bird.
I think so too. I think Bird means more to that city than Brady.
That's the royal standard. That's the royal standard.
I only got one left. Who gets it?
I got one left. Who gets it? That's the royal standard. I give it to Larry Bird.
And even before him, Bill Russell. It's he like and wow. I think the Celtics of that generation from let's say 1978 to 88.
Yeah.
Like they were, and then even before that, they won so many championships. Red Auerbach as a coach kind of changed the game a little bit
That,
by
and then you can almost include the Boston Garden in the iconic thing because the
right
parquet floor and everything else.
sweaty and stinky.
Like you
And,
remember watching the Oilers and the Bruins.
they had to call that game because of
They call it
fog.
the fog, and oh man,
Yeah.
And Boston's a pretty cool town. It is a pretty cool town. Yeah, I'll go with Bird. Now that you swayed my opinion, but Dave, you
Look at
my
us going
opinion.
all NBA, right?
Yeah,
But
Jesus, we don't watch 5 games a year. Who do we got left? We got New York and Toronto.
Let's do Toronto because it's a dog.
Let's go
right?
Toronto. It's the biggest city in Canada. Couple championships. You had the Raptors a few years back, just a recent few years back. You had a couple World Series in 93, 94, 92, 93, sorry. Who do you got? The iconic figure. You got 2 beers, one in your hand. Who are you giving the other one to in Toronto?
Okay, so
this other way.
I only wrote down 3 names.
Okay.
I wrote down Joe Carter. I wrote down Doug Gilmour.
Oof,
But here's the problem: like obviously Carter hit the biggest home run as you're ever gonna hit. But like despite the fandom of Canada and that city for baseball, they would rather win, especially like now, like when the Jays won their World Series. I don't even know if the Raptors were a franchise, but now that the Raptors are a franchise and they've won, they're the most recent title holders north of the border. I'm going to give it to a member of the Toronto Raptors. And once again, look at me going with management, aside and Jerry. He made that team.
Masai, yeah.
Is that what's Asai Najiri or what?
Masai Najiri.
Masai Najiri. He's the one that made that team. He made that. He traded that one guy to San Antonio who wanted.
I can't remember his name either. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but he had
and brought Kawhi in, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and then made it. Like I think he's the real. Like some people might say Kyle Lowry, but I think Njeri is the one that deserves all the credit there. I think he might be the icon. I'm going to give him my beer.
Yeah, Gilmour, geez, that guy can walk in a room and just probably in Toronto, and he probably hasn't paid for a meal in Toronto in 30 years. It's been 30 years since he played there, right?
Yeah.
Hell of a player, never won anything, went to the conference finals twice. Carter, I don't know.
Did Gilmour win the cup with the Flames?
Well, with the Flames, he did, yeah.
Yes.
With the Leafs, he went to the conference finals.
Yeah.
But with Joe Carter, I've heard and I've read from multiple sources that Joe Carter is shaking hands and kissing babies, but as soon as the camera's off him, he's not a nice person. And I don't know whether it's true or not, but this is what I've read. And I've actually heard people on television, so that's actually a broader thing, say the same thing, where they're like, they're not like when you read something, you can't believe it because people just put something in
you
there.
Never know. Yeah.
But when you see people on TV say it, you got to believe it because there's going to be fact checkers. There's going to be people checking, like saying, like, "Whoa, don't say that." If you
put it on TV, it's
there's got to be a lot of fact checking stuff just in case you don't want to get sued or whatever. And that kind of took and now that I've heard Carter talk, you kind of go, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. So Carter, yes, he did a couple of great things for Toronto baseball. Just from hearing that, he went down in my books. But right now, the biggest icon, and once again, a basketball guy. You win a championship, that puts a lot of weight, man. And you got Kawhi Leonard made that shot in Game 7 of Round 1 in 2019 against Philly, and he's not getting his jersey retired. He wasn't there long enough. He's there for one season, one season year only. But I will bet you they will be putting up some sort of a statue of that moment because it was such a great shot out of bounds in the corner. There will be a statue in front of the Scotiabank place, whatever they call it now. It used to be the ACC. That man's an icon. That he's the biggest icon in Toronto right now.
And I understand.
Why
your
is it
thought,
basketball that we're going with all of a sudden? We don't watch
Well,
basketball.
No, we don't. But like, well, Boston has such the richest basketball history of any franchise.
Yeah.
Toronto is because that's the only thing they've won in the
Ever
last
won.
well
20
since
years.
91, 92, right? And so that's why.
Yeah. No,
Winning, yeah, it's
winning
tough to be an
usurps.
icon. Yeah, winning helps.
Let's move on to the greatest city in the world, New York. New York, as Sinatra said, you got a lot of guys to pick from. You got some guys with, like, you got Mark Messier, who was apparently the cock of the walk in '94 when they won the Stanley Cup for the first time in 199 years, whatever the fuck it was. He couldn't do no wrong. He was dating the likes of Madonna and whatever else he wanted to. And then you go on to the years and years ago, you got Babe Ruth and Joe DiMaggio and Lou Gehrig and the rest of them. And then you move on to you move on to guys like Patrick Ewing with the Knicks. Never won anything, but basketball is huge in New York, man. Like, if a Knicks team ever won one, you would see a party, because they're the biggest team in New York. I don't care what anybody says. That's the biggest team in New York. If they win one, that's it.
New Yorkers want the Knicks to be relevant so bad.
They're way bigger than the Yankees.
They hate that owner, Jimmy Dolan. Oh God, yeah. They hate him.
Then you move on to the obviously my vintage and my guys. You got the 1996 through 2009 New York Yankees. You got Jeter, and well, there you go. Who do you got? Who's the icon, man? Like, that's New York. Who do you got, Dave?
Well, like for the Yankees, I got it. Well, it's easy to put names down. I had Messier down. I had Patrick Ewing down. For the Yankees, the two I came down to were Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle. Chesterfield is just a pretender compared to those two men.
The Mick had a good time, man.
Like, yeah.
I actually think, like, I've been around the stadium. I've been to 30 games there and around the old Yankee Tavern, and the old timers that are still going to games in the Bronx. You talk to them and they talk of the highest praise for Mickey Mantle to this day.
That like he was a ball player.
And how he, like, you watch the passion in these old guys' eyes, how they talk about Mantle. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And I left DiMaggio off the list because even as good as he was
not as good as the other guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I think if you're gonna pick a Yankee, I would pick either Ruth or Mickey Mantle. I think someone that's a bit of a New York icon, but with a little bit troubled post career, Lawrence Taylor. That man redefined the linebacker position.
Oh. If he wasn't such a fucking idiot,
yeah,
he wouldn't buy a meal anywhere. Now you don't want to be associated with the guy.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Like, yeah, he just went a little bit crazy after his playing career, because that's too bad, because he was a game changer. He reinvented the position, Super Bowl winner. But you know what? Do you know who I'm going to give my beer to? And he is also a New York Giant. He is active in media right now. You see him everywhere.
Eli?
Michael Strahan.
Oh, yeah. He's beloved by all.
He is awesome.
Like, he's doing the Christmas parade at Disney. He does a ball at Times Square. He does the light at the fucking Rockefeller Center.
He's everywhere. He's the new Regis. He does that shit.
He does it all.
He does it all. The single season sack holder, won a Super Bowl title. He wasn't there for the second. He just won the one and he retired. I think Michael Strahan is my New York icon.
I get it. He's a very popular fellow with this. Yeah, but I'm giving mine to Chesterfield. I think that
That
man,
gift giving motherfucker, eh?
he can do no wrong, old Chesterfield. His parents said Charles and Dorothy brought him up right. He's done well for himself, won a lot of championships. The charisma, he's an icon. Like that guy is. If him and Mickey Mantle walked in, I would probably pour them half a beer each. Say, here you go. Let's share.
You would give him, and then Babe Ruth just said, "You just go eat your hot dogs over there."
I go have a stogie with Babe in the corner.
To drink these 2 beers now.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Babe.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, there's Spanky's hot dogs outside.
That's how I do it. Hey, Babe, we're going to Spanky Dog. That's what we're gonna do.
See, no, like, yeah, I don't think Jeter can even play poker with Babe and Mick.
Probably not. Those guys played hard. Those boys played hard. Anyways, that's our iconic athletes from 5 major North American cities. Get back to us what you guys think. If you agree or disagree, we'd like to hear from you. It's always a good conversation to hear how wrong we were. But anyways, 1420 podcast, 4 beer sports talk, and a whole lot more. Got one more question to ask Dave before we call her a night. Dave, the holiday season's upon us, and I know that Jesus, I don't mind visiting with family and friends and having some drinks and getting into her a little bit and here and there, and that's why one of the things I like about Christmas. Dave, do you think that over the years, well, actually on a nightly basis, professional athletes, they got more money than they can shake a stick at, and they'll never spend it all, and they get family and friends visiting them from town to town? And what percentage of players do you think on a nightly basis got into her the night before and are playing with like, oh man, I can't believe I'm doing this?
And the festive, like
all year long. But okay, let's just go the festive season, because it's the festive season. Like okay. What, like when December, let's go through American Thanksgiving to Christmas, families and friends and things, they go from city to city. Oh, come on, it's Christmas. Let's go have a drink, dinner, and they. I don't even know if athletes have curfews anymore, but what percentage do you think go, okay, fuck, whatever, I'll be hungover tomorrow when we play. Who cares?
Ooh, I think it's really low. If this was the 80s, I would say like 40 to 50%. But in this day and age, I think I'd be surprised if it was.
Is that because of social media and camera phones and stuff, you think?
Well, I think it's because of money, of expectations, as of just team dynamics and what have you. I don't think.
Like, I'm not saying being caught in a cot at 7 a.m. in a fucking elevator.
No, not like,
you know what I mean. But I mean, like,
no, I totally mean. I
had too many bottles of wine last night. Like, whatever.
Yeah, but just maybe like being over the limit, and not that they're driving or anything. Like, I think
Tiger Woods, but whatever.
Yeah, I think they're so. I think they're more professional now than they ever were, and then like if they're playing the next day, they know exactly when they got to go to bed to be able to perform at their peak the next day.
Are they more professional, or do they just have this is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm going to say it anyways. Are they more professional, or do they just not have the proper mentorship? Does that make sense?
No, I don't know exactly what you mean when you say that.
Okay, let's say that I'm just going to I'll throw a name like Chris Chelios out there. Fitness freak, been known to didn't mind beers, whatever, like drinking, having a good time. Brett Hall, like having a good time, scored how many goals? Okay, I do this. We go out this late. After that, come on. Proper mentorship.
You know, that's possible. Like maybe one or two.
Good peer mentoring.
Yeah, but like hungover, I'd be surprised if it even happens anymore. Tell you the truth,
kids because don't drink anymore either, right?
They don't as much, and I think you'd be scared shitless of showing up because the team dynamic is so different. I don't know how it is these days. Like, do they hang? Do they roll? Obviously, they travel. But once you get off that plane, once you get in a hotel, I
think there's a lot of video games in hotel rooms.
Right, and it's just hanging out. right? And you, like, so you have your clicks and then there's no getting after it because you're teammates with everybody, obviously, but you're not friends with everybody. Could you imagine having to showing up hungover and just reeking? And then you
Did.
cost your team, and then you can't take a shift, and then someone else has to do it. Like you wouldn't want to let your team down, and you're definitely
Well,
don't want
that's
to
the
get on the
thing, I
bad
guess,
side of
Dave.
a
Now that
coach.
you put it that way, like there's some guys who are in the tail end of their careers and said, "This is my one shot at a contract. Don't let me down, you little prick." But you going out,
Mhm.
you know, I'm hitching my wagon to you, Mitch Marner. I'm just throwing his name out there, obviously I don't know, but I'm hitching my wagon to you, Mitch Marner. You're gonna get us to the second round of the playoffs. It might get me another contract.
Mhm.
The money's
Yeah.
so big compared to what it was 100 years ago. These guys were just working like a hockey player was just being a hockey player, sitting up sell cars in the off season,
Right,
right?
and then at hometown heroes during the season, right? You got to go out and not touch your wallet. You didn't
Yeah.
pay for a drink. You just went out and had
So it's just
fun.
a different thing. I don't know.
Mhm.
Is there one sport that you could think you could, be it golf, be it football, be it whatever? Is there one that you could go, all right, fuck, I'm out. It's already 2:30. Might as well make it 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, baseball for sure.
You don't play till 7.
You don't play till 7. Well, like if you're a pitcher, if you started, then for sure you're getting into it, especially if you had a good game.
Yeah.
Or if you had a bad game, you want to drown your sorrows, right?
Yeah.
Like, but then like you just take your cuts. Like if you're good, you're good. Like being hungover, you're gonna get a piece of one. You might,
And it's
but
it's 11, 12 hours later.
yeah, and then like in baseball, it's not like
Not up, man.
it's not a physically oxygen demanding sport, right? You concentrate for 10 fucking seconds while the ball, like while you're at bat, and that's it.
What if you had, we'll end this here though. What if you are in the last two or the first twosome out at Augusta and you're already making some dough, you're already whatever.
Like on Sunday morning, last day.
Sunday morning, you're teeing off at 7:30 in the morning. You're the first twosome out. You're not gonna win. What time do you go to bed? Because you're just golfing and you've already made your bed on Thursday and Friday.
Pretty early. Like
Really?
you don't want it. Yeah, because there's
What's
nothing
early?
worse. Well, like if your tee time's at 7, I'm guessing a golfer, you want to be at the course an hour before your tee time. So you got to be there at 6. You got to eat because you need some calories for the day.
No, you eat
like-
while you're playing, man. You get your calories.
Just get a McMuffin on the way to the range.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you show up 20 minutes beforehand.
You go to bed at 2:30.
But why? Because why get after it? Like get after it on Sunday night. Like the thing of it this way, if you're
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, if you're already past the point of no return, do you keep going? Say, oh fuck, I'm already out. Whatever. How bad could it get? I'm already in last place at the Masters.
Well, like I think old John Daly did that more than once, right? He no showed a couple Sundays and got fined and what have you. So who knows? Like I don't know. I don't think Augusta would be the thing. I think if you're the first
Oh, even better. At
the waste
Pebble,
management.
the celebrity pro-am at Pebble with all like you got Huey Lewis, Alice Cooper, you got Bill Murray, blah blah, blah, all those guys. Do you get into her?
Possibly.
There's no doubt. If I'm
Not
shooting
at-
3 over at Pebble on Sunday, oh fuck, man. Whatever.
No, I don't think you get into her on Saturday night. Well, so you made the cut and now it's moving day. You have a chance, but then you blow up. And now, like you say,
Like, well, I'm not winning.
Yeah.
I'm just here.
fuck it. I had a chance, but now I don't. And then like just hang out in the lounge and see who goes by.
Yeah, hang out.
But again, the
Like-
players, like you're
Like I
not
said,
hanging out.
past the point of no return. Like you're like, okay, do I go to bed or do I stay up?
Yeah, you're
fuck
not
it.
hanging out in the lounge because it's players' lounge. You got to go out and get off
Yeah,
campus, right? But then you have your house. I don't even know what kind of opportunity you would have. You would someone in your team would have to, And your
He'd find a
caddy
way.
would, yeah, your caddy would be pissed.
Yeah, because he's out 10%, right?
Yeah, so he's out a little bit of money. I would imagine most caddies work on a salary now as opposed to a
Salary
cut.
plus 10%. Yeah.
Yeah,
That guy from the hat, he's salary plus 10%.
10%. That's a chunk of change.
Oh, he makes good dough. He does pretty well. Yeah, he does very well. He had some issues, visa issues, so he lost out on some money, but whatever. We'll talk about that off air. But yeah, Jesus. Anyway, Dave, fun show tonight. We didn't get too deep. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of talks, but I think you got to audit who you're getting old, man.
Well, how am I getting old? Because I don't. You asked my opinion. I'm not saying I wouldn't get at it.
20 years ago, Dave.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, there you go. Anyways, take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourself. You need you around. Dave, keep your stick on the ice. And what else, my friend?
I don't want to see Jim swing at high pitches.
14, 20. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, it's just thinking of his where he's living right now. We haven't even talked about how fucking awful the Canucks are this year yet.
Oh, we talked about what me and him did last week. They're not very good. It ain't very good at all.
They're the opposite of good. Yeah.
Out in Lotus Land. Anyway, we'll talk about that on Monday night. Sorry. Have a good weekend, folks. We'll talk to you again on Monday night.